it is an honor to be in the Heartland sharing this Labor Day weekend with you. And I thank you so much for the invitation to these organizers who put so much work into all this. It's so good to see the O for P and C for P people here today. So last night was fun getting to run into some of you at the restaurant and to see so many demographics represented in so many different states, all across our great nation here. We got to gather together last night. Demographics represented, different political parties even represented. And Todd reminded me as we walked out of that room last night, he said, see, we're not celebrating red America or blue America. We're celebrating red, white, and blue America. So what brought us here today out in this field? Why aren't we catching a Cyclones game or watching the Hawkeyes perhaps, or grilling up some venison and corn on the cob, maybe some caribou with some friends on this Labor Day weekend? What brought us together is a love of country, and we see that America is hurting. We're not willing to just sit back and watch her demise through some fundamental transformation of the greatest country on earth. We're here to stop that transformation and to begin the restoration of the country that we love. We're here because America is at a tipping point. America faces a crisis, and it's not a crisis like perhaps a Midwest summer storm, the kind that moves in and hits hard, but then it moves on. No, this kind will relentlessly rage until we do restore all that is free and good and right about America. It's not just fear of a double-dip recession, and it's not even the shame of a credit downgrade for the first time in U.S. history. It's deeper than that. This is a systemic crisis due to failed policies and incompetent leadership. And we're going to speak truth today. It may be hard-hitting, but we're going to speak truth today because we need to start talking about what hasn't worked, and we're going to start talking about what will work for America. They keep spending more. They talk about massive, unsustainable debt, and yet they keep incurring more. They spend, they print, they borrow, they spend more, and then they stick us with the bill. Then they pat their own backs and they claim that they faced and solved the debt crisis that they got us in. But when we were humiliated in front of the world with our country's first credit downgrade, they promptly went on vacation. No, they don't feel the same urgency that we do. But why should they? For them, business is good. Business is very good. 7 of the 10 wealthiest suburbs are suburbs of Washington, D.C. Wow. Polls there actually, and usually I'll say polls, they're for strippers and cross-country skiers. But improved. See, there may not be a recession in Georgetown, but there is in the rest of America. Yeah, the permanent political class, they're doing just fine. Ever notice how so many of them, they arrive in Washington, D.C. of modest means, and then miraculously throughout the years, they end up becoming very, very wealthy? Well, it's because they derive power and their wealth from their access to our money, to taxpayer dollars. Let them do it again so we can save our country. Yes! Now, to be fair, some GOP candidates, they also raise mammoth amounts of cash, and we need to ask them too. What, if anything, do their donors expect in return for their investments? We need to know this because our country can't afford more trillion-dollar thank you notes to campaign backers?
Right.
It is an important question, and it cuts to the heart of our problem. And I speak from experience, confronting the corruption and the crony capitalism since starting out in public office 20 years ago. I've been out spending my campaigns 2 to 1, 3 to 1, 5 to 1. And by the way, I don't play that game either of hiring expert political advisors just so they'll say something nice about me on TV. If you ever wonder.
Carl, you listening?
Too, I'm sure. But the reason is simple. Because like you, I'm not for sale. Because we believe in the free market. I believe in the free market, and that is why I detest crony capitalism. And Barack Obama has showed us cronyism on steroids.
That's right.
It will lead to our downfall if we don't stop it now. It's a root that grows our economic problems, our unsustainable debt, and our high unemployment numbers, and a housing market that's in the tank, and a stagnant economy. These are all symptoms, and politicians are so focused on the symptoms and not the disease. We will not solve our economic problems until we confront the cronyism of our president and our permanent political class.
Yes. She's talking about both sides.
So this is why we must remember that the challenge is not simply to replace Obama in 2012, but the real challenge is who and what we will replace him with, because it's not enough.
Sarah! 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 Sarah!
If we don't change the team and the game plan, we won't save our country. Yes, we need sudden and relentless reform, and that will return power to we the people.
Yes!
This, of course, requires deeds, not just words. It's not good enough for the politicians to just be throwing our way some kind of vague generalities, talking about some promises here and there. It's time that we hold them accountable. It is amazing to me that even some good conservatives, they run away from being honest and straight up with us about what needs to be done. They don't want to rock the boat. They, can't hurt future election prospects, evidently. They just talk vaguely about cuts and then they move on. Too busy saying what they think that we want to hear, and instead they should be telling us what needs to be said, what needs to be done. So let us today in this field, let us have that adult conversation about what needs to be done to restore America. Let's do that now. In 5 days' time, our president will gift us with yet another speech. In his next speech, he'll reveal his latest new super-duper jobs plan. It will have more lofty goals and flowery rhetoric, more illogical economic fantasies, and more continued blame and finger-pointing. But listen closely to what he says. All of his solutions, they're going to revolve around more of the same, more payoffs for his friends and supporters. His plan is the same as it's always been, and that's grow more government, increase more debt, take and give more of your hard-earned money to special interests. And this is such a problem, but you know what the problems are. We could go on all day about the problems caused by the status quo in Washington. Status quo, I think it's Latin for more of the same of the mess that we're in. That status quo won't work anymore. We could go on all day about the problems, but you know them because you live them every day. So let's talk about real solutions. I want to tell you what my plan is. My plan is a bona fide pro-working man's plan, and it deals in reality. It deals in the way that the world really works. Because we must talk about what really works in order to get America back to work. My plan is about empowerment. Empowerment of our states, empowerment of our entrepreneurs, most importantly, empowerment of you, our hardworking individuals. Because I have faith, I have trust, I have respect for you. The way forward is no more politics as usual. We must stop expanding an out of control and out of touch federal government. This is first. All power not specifically delegated to the federal government by our Constitution is reserved for the states and for we the people. So let's enforce the 10th Amendment. Devolve powers back locally where the founders intended them to be. Second, what happened to all those promises about staying committed to repealing the mother of all big government unfunded mandates? We must repeal Obamacare. And rein in burdensome regulations that are a boot on our neck. Get government out of the way and let the private sector breathe and grow. This will allow the confidence that businesses need in order to expand and hire more people. And third, no more runaway debt. We must prioritize and cut. Cancel unused stimulus funds and have that come to Jesus moment where we own up to the debt challenge that is entitlement reform.
That's right.
See, the reality is we will have entitlement reform. It's just a matter of how we're going to get there. We either do it ourselves or the world capital markets, they're going to shove it down our throats and we'll have no choice but to reform our entitlement programs. The status quo is no longer an option. Entitlement reform is our duty now, and it must be done in a way that honors our commitment to our esteemed elders today while keeping faith with future generations. I tell you what, I don't think anything has irked me more than this nonsense coming from the White House about maybe not sending our seniors their checks. It's their money. They have paid into Social Security all of their working lives. And for the president to say, we may not be able to cut their checks, well, where did all their money go, politicians? It's like the commander-in-chief being willing to throw our military under the bus, threatening that their paychecks may not arrive. But the politicians will still get their checks and their secure retirements, and he'll still get his posh vacations. Aren't you just sick to death of those skewed priorities? It's all backwards. Our seniors and our brave men and women in uniform being used as pawns, I say it's shameful, and enough is enough. No more. Fourth, it is time for America to become the energy superpower. The real stimulus that we've been waiting for is robust and responsible domestic energy production. Affordable, secure energy is the key to any thriving economy, and it must be our foundation. So I would do the opposite of Obama's manipulation of U.S. supplies of energy. Drill here, drill now, let the refineries and the pipelines be built. And dictators asking them to ramp up production and industry for us, promising them that we'll be their greatest customer. No, not when we have the resources here. We need to move on tapping our own God-given natural resources that are part of our reserves. I promise you this will bring real job growth, not the politicians' phony green jobs, fairy dust sprinkled with wishes and glitter, and no, but a hardcore, all of the above energy policy that builds this indestructible link between Made in America energy and our prosperity and our security.
Yes!